everything is electronic.
Yeah.
We don't know where anything is coming from or where it's really going. So it is a fear. And then you multiply that into those that don't really understand the digital world, we can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
So JP Morgan, so do you remember JP Coin? Were you following crypto stuff whenever JP Coin was announced? This is actually during the last bull run.
I mean, probably I've heard of it. When you first mentioned it, I was like, what's that? I've never heard of it. But if it was in the last bull run, I probably know of it.
Remember the Jamie Dimon Bitcoin is a scam incident?
Yeah,
Okay.
when he went on the news and said that. Meanwhile, on the back end, they were buying.
They were the single largest buyer of Bitcoin that particular day.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Did not get charged with front running at any.
Yeah.
Okay, so that JP Morgan, that news cycle, actually that bull run cycle, the same. Within months of that, announced that they were going to create a intra-bank transfer cryptocurrency called JP Coin.
Oh.
And they have been using it for intra-bank settlements since then. They are now saying that over $1 billion a day are being settled using JP Coin for intra-bank transfers. $1 billion a day.
So that's $1 billion a day between different banks who are settling transactions with JP Morgan.
JP Morgan, yeah, basically JP Morgan, like Chase banks primarily, and other Chase bank partners, right?
Got it.
Like loan companies and like other financial services companies.
Can I ask a question? I'm sure this question has been asked so many times. And I feel like maybe you guys can explain this.
Okay.
What would prevent anything or anyone or any system or any leader from stopping everything one day, like completely through the Bitcoin, the digital world?
What would prevent Bitcoin from being what would stop Bitcoin or what?
So if you're putting your money, of course, so we have the fear of having our money in the bank, right?
Okay.
And because one day, and they're transitioning it to be electronic, right? So one day I feel like they can just disappear with all that. Whoever is in charge of whatever is happening above the banks.
So in banks, yes. With most major cryptocurrencies, it cannot happen. We'll get into some cases where it could happen because that's going to bring in the world coin into discussion. JP Coin is one of those coins where they can just increase or decrease the total supply, and there's a admin somewhere that can control sorts of things.
Okay.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, other major coins that you've heard of, the laws of physics prevent that from happening.
Okay. I'm asking the question because now that we're getting JP Morgan involved,
right,
or they've entered the world of whatever, I mean, what's going to keep everything from being taken?
So, distributed ledger technology, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, it all exists on a spectrum of decentralization. And when you have something that's sufficiently decentralized like Bitcoin, no single administrator has the power to create new supply or reduce supply.
Okay.
Which means there isn't any danger of the rug getting pulled out from underneath you in terms of what you know to be true about this particular network.
So it's literally the law of physics. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think here it's important to make the distinction between permissionless blockchains, which is what Bitcoin is, and private blockchains. Okay. So the big difference is permissionless blockchains, there's no one central authority. The whole network of computers controls it and allows for, decisions to be made. That's a permissionless blockchain versus a private blockchain is one in which there is a central authority or a couple central authorities who have the say in what is allowed to happen on the blockchain. They can do exactly what you're talking about, shut down all the transactions, hold people's money, rug pull people, but in most cases it won't happen. And so I'm assuming with JP Morgan, they're using a private blockchain.
That's what I was
asking.
So
they can control everything. And that's what we're going to see happen with a lot of institutions adopting, blockchain technology and using cryptos in applications similar to what JP Morgan is doing. And the reason that is because they don't want retail people like me and you to go on it and have control over the transfers that banks are doing, which makes sense, right? Retail shouldn't even have a say. well, you could debate this, but anyway, retail should not have a say in how the banks are transferring money in between each other. And if you put somebody like me and you in it, we'll just disrupt the flow. It won't work. It won't be an efficient system. So they make it private so that they can have control, but more so that the system is efficient, costs less than what their current system is, and increases scalability and productivity by more than what they could do in traditional systems.
Yeah. And of course, this is a question from someone who's still learning. Like
absolutely.
It's because, we think about it on a daily basis with our banks, with our money, with, our everything is electronic. Everything is electronic.
Yeah.
We don't know where anything is coming from or where it's really going. So it is a fear.
For sure.
So, and then you multiply that into those that don't really understand the digital world, we can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
So...
I think it's good though. I think it's like a good balance because when I hear you ask that question, in my mind, I'm like, this is a perfect educational opportunity, which, I do education. And so it's like for our viewers, I think a lot of people are in a similar boat as you are. And with Mark and I, we can talk about this stuff all day, not realizing that a lot of people need this extra clarification. And for me personally, I like giving the clarification because it demonstrates to myself that I know what I'm talking about and that I can be confident when I'm making theories on this kind of stuff and assumptions that I know that these are probably more right than wrong. So I don't mind it. I love it.
I'm just the average Joe. Jane. I'm not Joe. I'm Jane.
Could be Joe if you want to also.
Hey, thanks for watching The Merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.